Welcome everyone to episode 40 of the CLG Faithful podcast. Or this week could probably just be called the CSGO podcast.
We really could. I mean, it's like, holy crap, CSGO played a lot this week. Like,
Yeah, that's my co-host Archer, and you all know him.
What's up, people?
So
we have like 3 pages of write-up for this.
that's with short notes.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Oh, man.
All right. So we're just gonna go right into it this week.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else.
Yeah, just so much CSGO, not much else at all, like you just said. So on the 26th of October, they started off in ECS Season 4 against Renegades, and the top 4 make playoffs for ECS. Last week, CLG was in 10th place, if I recall correctly.
Last week they were in 10th. Coming into this week, they were 7th.
This week.
Coming into this week, yeah, they were, I believe, in 7th place.
Yeah, I remember we had just a single win. It was depressing.
It was, though they hadn't played a lot of games. So like some teams like SK and Liquid and Cloud9 had played they had played 4 or 5 more games than CLG did. And then you're about to find out how many games CLG played this weekend in the ECS.
Right. Well, strength of schedule also plays a role because we played a ton of tough teams last week. So we started off against Renegades, and in Game 1, it was a pretty rough start. The boys started off 0-3 in the beginning, but they took the reins back in round 4, and they dropped only 3 more rounds that half, which means they ended up winning that half 9-7. In the second half, it was really strong play by both teams, but in the end, COG just barely ekes it out. 13 rounds, so they take the game 16-12.
Yeah, Game 2 was on Mirage, and I mean, this is the epitome of watching a CLG team. It's like a roller coaster of your heart. It's win 2 or 3 rounds, lose 2 or 3 rounds, up, down, the whole time. And, I mean, it ends in the only way a CLG game should end, and
overtime?
That's going to overtime. Exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in OT, the boys could only get a single win, and we take an overtime loss, 16-19.
Right, so that puts us 1-1 against Misfits.
Renegades.
Then move on. Sorry. Why did I say
okay.
Misfits? Oh, yeah. We play Misfits later on.
We do.
That's right. The next day, they played up against Cloud9, still ECS S4.
Mm-hmm. So
the first game was on Cobblestone, and... well, it's Cloud9. They're one of the top NA teams right now. Boys do put up a pretty good fight, but, they go 8-16.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, their next game up, though, was Inferno, and it's Inferno, and we're against Cloud9. But holy crap, I don't know what burned. Maybe the coach was just like, look, boys, this is Cloud9. You got to put your best face forward for this. And then they play on Inferno. Oh, man, though. This game went back and forth the entire time. 2 or 3 rounds in, 2 or 3 rounds off. But in the end, Cloud9 does take CLG down, but at a great 14-16 score. So while we did lose, it showed a lot of improvement by the CSGO boys, especially on Inferno, which, if you are a common listener or watcher of CSGO and CLG,
it's kind of our bogey map.
Yeah, it's kind of the bogey map. It's the map where if it's picked, you're like, well, I'm gonna go get a beer
and then go watch some other stream.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
No, gotta support your CLG.
All right, so on the note of Inferno, though, the past couple weeks we've been doing quite a bit better on Inferno.
The improvement is there. So what's great to see is that while you are not while we're not winning as amazing, it's like CLG is
it's not a comfortable map by any means.
It's not comfortable at all, but there's improvements.
Better.
There's improvements on Inferno, which is something that people have been looking for the last, basically since Inferno was brought back into the competitive rotation. We have been asking, please just get better at Inferno, because holy crap, you guys suck at it.
Yeah, so moving on to the next day, they played in the WCA 2017 North America Finals. It's poorly named.
Yeah.
But they played in the quarterfinals match for this event. So COG played against Gorilla Core, and it's basically just this no-name team. And hey, COG could actually beat no-name teams, at least in CSGO.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see our boys actually steamroll a team for once, instead of getting steamrolled or even just putting up a really close fight and then just not being able to put it together in the end.
Mm-hmm.
They take game 1 16-6 on Mirage, and then they take game 2 on Train 16-4.
Yeah, that pretty big stomp. And then on the same day, we go right back to more ECS Season 4 with CLG versus Ghost. And game 1, Ghost came out strong as teased on the first half, taking the first few rounds 3-1. However, CLG really clamped it down afterwards, and by half it was 9-6. In the second half, CLG was like, yo, boys, we got a lot of stuff to play tomorrow, so maybe we should get a good night's rest. And they closed it out quick, taking the map 16-9. With Ricky really showing his opping pants this map, like he really like slapped those on. He had a great +14 in the 16-9 win.
Yeah. One thing I did mention to forget is the Gorilla Core team. It was originally supposed to be Rise Nation, and they dropped out. And they were replaced by Gorilla Core.
So they got in.
Which is why originally, if you were looking for it and you tried to find it, you may have seen CLG versus Rise Nation. It was a pretty, I don't want to say last minute, but fairly close to it, switch. So moving on into game 2 against Ghost. Again, this is ECS Season 4. So it was Inferno. And, just gave a bit of damning with faint praise for CLG on Inferno. And that really holds true for this map. It was pretty shit all around. Earlier this week we saw a much stronger CLG on Inferno when they played up against Cloud9. And here they took a 9-6 lead as the tease in the first half, which means they have a really hard second half coming up. CLG pulls it off, however, they actually take the win. It's not really amazing play though, and it was pretty obvious when you're just watching it. Only Ricky was going above +1 at +4, but the win's a win, and we'll take it.
Yep, especially on Inferno. All right, so we're going to move on to October 29th, which was yesterday. And this is like a crazy day for CLG. Yep. All in all, what did they play? Like 7 matches, with some of them being, the final one being a best of 3, starting at like their time. It would have started at about 5 p.m., but they had been playing since basically 11 a.m. So this is quite the day.
So what happens is they have to play the WCA 2017 NA Finals. Again, I hate the name. Yep. They're playing in the semis against Misfits. This time it's actually Misfits.
Yes.
Then they move on and they play in the ECS Season 4, once again against Immortals. Mm-hmm. And if they were to win the WC match against Misfits, they move on to play against either Luminosity Gaming, or who was the other one?
Not really sure.
I can't remember the name. Complexity. Yeah, okay. It'd be the winner of Luminosity Gaming versus Complexity, which I'd say spoilers, but that's what this podcast is. It was against LG.
It was against
LG. So, we'll start things off. Why don't you tell us how they did in the semifinals?
Yeah, so in the semifinals against Misfits, Ethan and Kusta definitely showed off in this series. Ethan in particular doing the most damage in both games. In game 1, CLG started off the Train T side and went 9-6 in the first half. The second half, both sides traded a sling of rounds before Misfits was able to pick up 5 in a row. At 14 round wins, Misfits have a chance to tie the series up, but CLG came through and pick up the game win. In game 2, Misfits start off going strong on cash, taking the first 5 rounds right away. However, CLG returned the favor immediately with 5 of their own and ultimately end the half 9-6. Misfits rally after the break and take a slight lead 9-11, but Ethan and the boys aren't deterred. They win the game 16-13 and the series 2-0, meaning they go on to face Luminosity Gaming later on that night.
Did you say ultimately?
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to go back in time. We'll have to listen to it ourselves. Just remember, 10 minutes, 20 seconds.
All right. So the next game they played was against Infernals, and this was starting on cash. Immortals starting on cash. Oh man.
Yeah.
None of us can speak words.
Apparently words are hard.
Hey man, they are hard.
They are hard.
Look, I deal with code. I can speak in hex. I can do ones and zeros. I can't do words.
Can't do words.
Words are hard.
That's okay.
All right. So this game was actually a pretty good match to watch to see what COG is improving on. By playing just so many games this week, you could really tell. But at the same time, exhaustion's also setting in, and it's becoming more and more apparent. So everyone starts playing really well on cash. You can see Ethan. He had a bit less of a game than everyone else, but it's not saying he didn't hold his own. It was a pretty solid win for COG overall, 16-9. Then, moving on into Game 2, it was on Train, and this map starts off extremely strong for COG. It's what you come to expect with Train. It takes 7 rounds to start off with, and by the half, it was 9-6, as Immortals is starting to make their comeback. After the half, though, it looks like Immortals are going to make the comeback. COG holds on tight, and they beat Immortals 16-12. So after this, they move on to play the final match of the day in the WCA NA Finals, the actual finals match.
Yes, the actual finals match for this one.
And this is particularly important because the winner of this moves on to earn a spot at the World Cyber Arena 2017, which is a minor, and it would be really nice to see the boys qualify for a minor.
It would be, even like an online minor or something like that. It'd be great to see them playing in a bigger event than just kind of the qualifiers for them. But we'll start off with map 1 against Luminosity Gaming, which was cash. Not a lot to say here.
We got swept.
We got hit pretty hard. I mean, CLG took 3 rounds in the first half. But at half it was
better than
12
2.
to 3, 12 to 3. And then in the second half, though, Luminosity just crushed it and kind of beat us 16 to 3. That was pretty rough. But hey,
we went on Cobblestone next, and that 3 to 12 that we had in the first match became 12 to 3.
Yeah, we kind of just reversed it on them a little bit.
Yep, and then the second set wasn't the 0-4 to 4-0.
Yeah,
it was a 4-1, but
I mean, close.
Still a win, pretty solid win.
Yeah,
but then we moved on to Overpass.
Oh yes, that's right.
So this was actually pretty close first half, 6-9 in favor of LG. And from there, man, they must have been absolutely exhausted or something, because it just fell apart.
I mean, it seems like maybe it was the clutches. Luminosity had all the clutch wins here. CLG in a clutch situation, we didn't get anything. So it could have just been that, like, it's the end of the day. They're literally game 3 of, like, what is that? That was game 7 of 7 for the day. Like, the final game that they could have played that day. And, it's a tiring day for them. So,
a lot of people will say that if you're a world-class team, you will come through clutch in that moment. And I agree. But we're clearly not.
No.
It sucks to say, but they're not that caliber of a team. And right now, our goal should be to qualify for as many minors and ultimately majors as possible. And it just sucks to see them constantly playing all of these qualifiers, and we're not able to actually win any of them.
Yeah, that's kind of what hurts the most is when we can't qualify for one of these bigger events kind of that show up. So
I don't know. I mean, you're constantly seeing talks about roster swaps or upgrades or whether the team needs more time, and I don't know, man. We got to be qualifying for something soon.
yeah, it would be nice to see a qualification for a minor, a major, something come through for the boys. Something just clicks, and we go on a really nice run. I think that would definitely be ideal in that situation. But we'll see. I mean, during the North America roster shakeup, we didn't do anything. We brought no one in or anything.
We got Ryu.
Yeah, well, we got that before the big roster shakeup.
That's true.
Yeah, like when Immortals imploded and all that, there was a lot that could have happened. But I mean, yeah, who knows? So that's CSGO for the day, and that's all the big events that happened. There was a few little kind of cool videos. There was a pretty sweet SFAT video, SFAT Roads, the CLG Roads videos series that they've been doing, and SFAT was featured this week, and it was actually like a really, really good video, a little pretty touching by SFAT. He kind of talks about how he feels that he needs to put in like 1,000% more effort than anyone else to be able to get into what they call the God tier in Smash Melee. So those are the guys who are the top 5 players who are basically, if they're at the tournament, they're the favored to win the tournament. And how he thinks he has to put in 1,000% more effort than other people think he needs to. Like, people look at SFAT and they see him ranked 6th or 7th on the PGR, I think it's called PGL, and I'm butchering it. It's the Panda Global Ranking, PGR, and so they look at him and they're like, oh, look, you just have to put in this little bit more effort to get into like that God area. But from being just outside looking in, he talks about how he needs to put in like 1,000% more effort to get there. Whereas people that might be in like top 20 or top 40 look at it and they're like, oh man, like you only have to climb a couple of points to get there. Like, just that's an extra hour a day, right? And it's like, no, like
the skill gap between the top 5 gods and I guess top 5 plus Leffen, and the demigods is quite considerable. To make, I guess, a league comparison, you always talk about how the gap is closing or widening between Korea and the rest of the world. If you think about the top 3 or 4 Korean teams every year and the rest of the world, that's kind of like how it is, where they're just so much further ahead, and it seems almost invaluable at times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you put that together, or you combine that with, just like you're right there, you can see over into that top 5, and at the same time, it's like you give it your all. And he was talking about how his goal at every event that one of them are at is to beat one. Like if he can do that consistently, where he takes the win against, like a Mango or a Hungry Box, then
or Armada,
Mewtwo King, or considered
PPMD.
Plup. Plup is arguably one of the gods. And
I don't think he's considered a god yet, right? He's not considered to be.
He's top
in the
6.
Same tier as Leffen. He was the first one to beat, or second one to beat all 5 gods in the single tournament.
Yeah. So Plup is he's arguably considered in the god range. It's kind of like Leffen wasn't there during the era of it,
right? Because Leffen's the god slayer.
Yeah, Leffen is the god slayer.
Plup is the second one now.
Yeah,
and then there's SFAT, Axe, Chudat, and some other players. They're all these other demigods.
Yeah, they're basically all the top 10. And so his idea every event, or his goal every event, is to take out at least one. Take a best of 3 or a best of 5 series off each, or off one of them, so that he can slowly improve and get to that god tier, which we'd love to see.
I really like the Road series.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun to watch.
It is really fun to watch. It's like, they're like, all the videos are like 10 to 12 minutes long, and they're just like a really nice look into the player's mind. Like they give you a nice little idea of what's going through his head. And he gave a really great rundown about, I think it was at Big House 5 or Big House 5, whatever one, the big house that just happened, and his game against Wizorb.
7? Big House 7?
Or Big House 7, yeah. And it was his game against Wizorb, and how he felt that, his first 2 games he basically got stomped. And then he just, in his head, he was like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. At this point, it doesn't matter. And then he just felt like he played right. Like his complete playstyle change. He went back to doing what he should have been doing in the first 2 rounds. And then he ends up getting eliminated by Wizorb there, because he said, in that game 5, he's like, I kind of was like back in it, and I was there, and I wasn't just kind of relaxing and playing like I should, but I was, over analyzing things again. And I was like, the things that go through their minds. I mean, then we also had the NACAT response video, because, as we had last week, last minute, basically, like as we're about to sit down and record, the video or the announcement goes live that, NACAT has been let go from CLG. NACAT posted a response video earlier this week. And
so in it, he just basically goes over his thoughts, and essentially he's responding to this and just a lot of general other questions people have been asking him.
Yeah.
He talks about Smash doubles and whether Void Cat's going to be a thing. Apparently Void is not really happy with the direction of the Smash 4 meta for
the doubles.
Duo.
Yeah.
And doesn't particularly want to play that right now. He's just talked a little bit about the CLG environment. He talks about what he personally disagreed with the tone of the article and what some of the things were said.
Yep.
It's just a response video.
Yeah.
Right?
He just responded to a lot of the questions and how he's given Keitaro control of almost all of his social media accounts. He's going to focus on streaming and kind of, looking for a new team to sign with or some new sponsors. So
right, and then just continuing to improve as a player.
Exactly. So I mean, we wish the best of luck to Nakat. Like,
absolutely,
the guy is fantastic.
He's a cool
guy. I hope there's no hard feelings between him and the CLG org. We're never really gonna know why he was let go exactly. Like we got the kind of the blurb from the site, but as we know with the CLG org, that's not always all the information that's at hand. But yeah, best of luck to Nakat. I will definitely be keeping up on him. I mean, I follow him on Twitch, so whenever he's streaming, and especially in Smash, or right now he's playing that Doki Doki school game or whatever it is. I don't know. It's this like super game, like super meme like game that just has been going around Twitch lately, and oh god. I mean, he's a big animo nerd. Good old Nakat.
Bigger question is, why aren't you?
Why aren't I? I'm too white. Good stuff. All right, I think that's it, eh?
I think that is it. Yeah.
That's all.
That's all we got for this week.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you made it this far, cheers. We are the CLG Faithful Podcast. This is a weekly podcast. We go over all things CLG. If you do enjoy what we do, then please take a minute to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, or give us a ratings on iTunes and Google Play. We also love getting your feedback, so if you can send us your thoughts to our email, clgfaithful@gmail.com, we'll definitely get back to you.
Absolutely. You can also DM us on Twitter if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And we're also pretty active on Reddit, so just, take some time, comment in the little threads that we make, and let us know how we're doing.
Yeah. All right, guys. I am Archer. You can find me at ArcherTV on Twitch.tv or on Twitter.
Yeah, you've been having fun with your REO streams?
Yeah, man. It's been good stuff. Gonna get scared crapless here tomorrow, hopefully. Playing Outlast for Halloween.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. In the dark.
And I am Nefarious. You can find me at Nefarious on Twitter. It's NEFARI0USS. And with that, I think we're out.
All right, guys. Peace.
See you next week.